me, the bigger question is, and I asked Bud this after game one, and to be totally fair, like Giannis played 11 minutes in that game. But to start that game, Drew Holiday had Jimmy Butler. And in 2021, when the Milwaukee Bucks dominated and destroyed the Miami Heat, 4-game sweep, multiple blowout wins, Brook Lopez was on Bam Adebayo, just like he is now. Giannis Antetokounmpo was on Jimmy Butler. And that was how you beat the Miami Heat. And Jimmy struggles with Giannis's length. And last night, like he got him a couple times, as Slater said. But overall, like if you're looking at the possessions where Jimmy Butler is truly uncomfortable, it's when Giannis covers him. And like you, I do have the flashbacks of instead of being in the bubble, being in my apartment and asking Giannis, hey, did you ask Bud if you could cover Jimmy Butler? Like I have those same flashbacks. And in 2020, the answer was, why would you ask me that? You know that like I'm a help defender. This is what our scheme is. Like, of course I didn't. And then in 2021, the answer was, yeah, I wanted the challenge. Let's do this. And I showed why I should have been doing this last year. Like to me, it was funny. And it's very curious to me why 2 years later we would now see the Bucks revert and go
with
back.
2020. How much of that is Giannis's physical state? Where is he at physically after the back, missing 2.5 games?
Yeah, I mean,
You wrote about a moment 6 minutes to go in the game, and it seems like he was
yeah,
struggling a bit.
How about just the end? He was like, how long was he lying on the floor when the game ends, and he was just lying there? Nobody seemed like they were coming over to help him up either.
yeah. I mean, so it was one of those games where I think he just gave everything, right? Like it's in all of us have kind of been there for those moments because we covered the 2021 NBA Finals together. But like, you know, Sam, you and I sat in the press conference after game 2 in Phoenix and wondered, okay, what just happened to Giannis? Because he stepped up on the podium once he was
The
up
post
there.
game press conference podium.
He's sitting there and he just goes, I can't do this. And he walks off and he disappears for, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes. And then he comes back and you and I were later able to report that like what he did there was he got an IV because he had given so much and his body had just kind of, he there was nothing left in it. And I thought last night, we saw a lot of that. And he did not speak to the media last night. It was a similar situation where, we were in the press room waiting for Giannis at the podium, and then we're told that he wasn't going to be there. And I did find myself thinking back to that moment with about 6 minutes left. Giannis gets his 11th assist of the night. It's Giannis and Brook in the middle pick and roll. They're destroying the Heat with it. And they had just gone to it possession after possession. I think they had racked up 4 assists in the fourth quarter, those two in that pick and roll. And then Giannis throws a pass, and on his way back, he kind of grimaces, and then he does like a run that doesn't look like how anyone ever runs, like unless maybe you're going to the bathroom. Like his legs are like, just like real small steps. He's trying
Kevin
not to
Love was kind of running like that at times yesterday. It seemed like.
right. Like,
Yeah, it's
he's
because
trying not
he's
to
a
like
middle-aged man. That's how we run.
so like you just saw it, and in my like in my head, I was like, okay, I'm guessing those are cramps because he didn't grab at his back. It was, kind of the legs. And I mean, I think that plays into it, right? Like if you're asking for him to help you win this must-win game, and Giannis was spectacular last night, like to be clear, that's his third career playoff triple-double, scored efficiently, and just kind of controlled the game until those final 6 minutes. The Bucks went away from that offensively. They stopped running that exact same set that they've been running the whole fourth quarter to get that big lead. And after the game, there wasn't a lot of talk about it, but I would venture to guess that like they went away from it because they were just like, I don't know how much more we can count on Giannis to get us through this. And maybe he needs a little bit of a break and we need to move away from him. And that's the 3 minutes that we're talking about where this big run goes on, 13-0 from the Heat, and they end up getting the game.
Eric, when is game 5?
Game 5 is, if today's Tuesday, it's Wednesday.
Okay, so 1 day rest. That's not good for Giannis. You know this team better than anybody. What does your Spidey sense tell you about whether or not they can beat the odds and recover.
I mean, I think in 2021, the Bucks went down 0-2 in Phoenix, and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday came up to the podium and were laughing, right? Like they were like, "Yeah, we're good, like we're gonna be fine." Um, I didn't get that same sense last night. Like I think they're really trying to figure out like what the fuck are we gonna do with Jimmy Butler? Like we haven't
There's our headline right there for the pod.
we haven't figured out how to stop him yet. What are we going to do? How are we going to stop him? And the answer truly might be as simple as just put Giannis on him. And that might
Why
be
not? Why not more doubles? And I know we're doing the armchair quarterback thing, but why? There weren't a lot of doubles, not a lot of traps. Why?
No Tyler Hero too. Like, and Bam Adebayo does not look ready offensively for this moment.
Caleb Martin, by the way, just as a quick aside, your NBA playoff plus minus on court, off court point differential leader at the moment, right above Steph
Not
Curry.
Alex Lynn, huh?
No, Caleb Martin.
Man, Alex Len.
Who even gave a little John Cena last night. You see that?
Yeah, after he hit that corner three.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this Bucks team over the years has been really big on we're not going to give up a bunch of points to one dude and then everyone else. Like when they played the Nets in the second round in 2021, PJ Tucker goes on this big rant about how everyone's got to stop helping. KD's going to score. That's how it goes. Just don't let everyone else get loose and we'll be fine. And, Jimmy did have 56 last night, I think 2 assists, if I remember correctly. Like they didn't let everyone get both except for
congratulations.
Except for the biggest moment of the game when Caleb Martin hits 2 massive shots and all of a sudden they are getting both. Like those are the things that I think can happen. So that's always kind of been their tactical guidelines is, one guy, fine, we're not going to double, we're not going to send traps, we're not going to do all of that. We're just going to take away everyone else. And frankly, they've been unsuccessful doing that in this series. The Heat are shooting 50% from the 3-point line as well. Like they're not doing the other stuff that they want to do. So I just think it's a multi-level failure defensively to this point to have a team that was the 25th best offense in the league in the regular season score 120 every night. Like that's just it just hasn't been acceptable. And I think that if we're talking about how they win this, yeah, this is a team that I think is capable of very good defensive performances. If they string 3 of them together, all of a sudden they can win this series, but they just haven't shown any ability to be able to do it quite yet.
All right, my last thought here, and then we're going to take a break and jump into the other series. Jimmy was incredible. We got to give some flowers to. We talk about the depth of the Heat, Tyler Hero being out. Kyle Lowry with a massive steal late on Drew Holiday, where he just absolutely picked his pocket. And I alluded to the plus minus game. Jimmy's the headliner. Jimmy's the hero. Kyle Lowry giving you a plus 18 performance in 23 minutes. Duncan Robinson, who has been sitting on the bench for most of the year, 30 minutes plus 15. And then Caleb, your plus minus leader at this point in the playoffs, plus 16, giving you 12 big points as well. So, they are getting the kind of help we didn't think they could get. I saw somebody on ESPN today mention, like you're talking about Jimmy and the band of undrafted misfits. It's just unbelievable, when you compare the rosters of these two teams, but guys are playing pretty well. Any final thoughts, boys?
I was gonna say all those dudes are stepping up, and I think overwhelmingly, like Jimmy's been unbelievable, but the Heat have also stacked on top of that these really strong performances from guys that just haven't performed that way in the regular season. Whether that's circumstance or opportunity or whatever it may be, like they just haven't performed that well, and they're killing it in the playoffs. And the Bucks have just been scrambling in all facets of what they're doing defensively, and it's because of Jimmy, but it's also because of the performances of all these kind of like you said, like these nameless guys or these old vets that are taking one last trip around the sun, and Kevin Love and Kyle Lowry, like all those dudes that have been really important to them thus far.